YouTube. What's good with y'all boys, man? It's your boy, Who is London, back again with another video. Today we're gonna start a whole new different series. I'm not doing wrestling news reactions anymore because due to the fact I think some people don't like them. But I mean I'm trying with this content stuff, but I'm trying to do something different at least. But I'm still reacting to some videos and regardless, you know what I'm saying, always making them my opinion because that's what the point. So I don't think that's a point of reaction video, but what I see a point of view of the reaction video, you react to a video, you get your thoughts on the video, and then you talk about the video basically of what you're watching. When whoever's on the video, if they're talking about somebody or they're talking about a certain thing, food, movie, person, cartoon, you get the gist, etc., etc. But today, I'm bringing a new series talking about one of my favorite wrestlers, and then we're gonna react about the history on like what they could have become or how successful they became in the business and their like origin story, how they became the biggest names of who they are, no matter what company they wrestle for or the company that they started with and they built up their success. And yeah, but today we're gonna talk about Finn Balor, aka Demon Finn Balor, aka Prince Devitt from New Japan Pro Wrestling, and you know what I'm saying, Balor Club. But yeah, we're gonna watch how did Finn Balor almost became the face of WWE, because Finn Balor, in my opinion, why I mess with Finn Balor, and and it's so weird because I think when I started watching wrestling, NXT wasn't like the. I mean, when I was watching it, I wasn't really watching NXT, and I can't really say NXT wasn't like the biggest thing when it started, because it actually was, because it was been building. It was building up because it used to be like it was the old name used to be like Florida. I think was it Florida Championship Wrestling or something. I don't know. I think it is, and then they rebrand and it's NXT now. I wonder what NXT like stands for. Like NXT. I don't know. But yeah, we're gonna talk about Finn Balor today. So let's watch on how did Finn Balor almost become the face of the WWE.
Now, New Japan Pro Wrestling has been completely dominated by a faction.
And don't forget, I almost forgot. Some of y'all are not subscribed. I think around 90% of y'all are not subscribed to the channel watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe. $0.99. It's free. Totally free. Click the subscribe button. Like, click. And boom. That's it. And let's get to the video.
Known as the Bullet Club, a group mostly composed of foreign wrestlers willing to destroy everyone in Japan, the Bullet Club has become one of the most influential factions in wrestling history, and because of them, world-renowned stars like the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Jay White, Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, and many more have risen to the top of pro wrestling. But who created the Bullet Club? Who created this faction that has gone on to revolutionize pro wrestling? Well, it would be none other than the man named Prince Devitt, or as he's better known today, WWE's Finn Balor. Yes, right before the Bullet Club's rise into the stratosphere, Prince Devitt signed with the WWE to forever change the company. He was a megastar in NXT, he was strapped to a rocket on the main roster, and now he sits comfortably on top of WWE with yet another faction dominating the company. My name is Grisha from Wrestleology, and today, let us dive into the WWE career of Finn Balor and see how the real rock and roller turned into the demon that haunts...
What's Bro's channel again? Wrestleology. Shout out to this dude with the video.
...to WWE's main event scene. And it all started in 2014. Upon arrival, he was given instant credibility by aligning himself with a fellow rising star, Hideo Itami. But that's not even the fun part of his debut on the black and gold brand. At the following NXT TakeOver Our Evolution event, Balor teamed up with Itami to take on The Ascension in a high-impact tag team bout. And upon making his entrance, Balor would debut The Demon. This war-painted and violent version of Finn came out and helped Itami defeat the Ascension, and this amazing presentation, combined with Finn's impressive skills in the ring, helped him shoot up to the top of the card with notable victories over Tyler Breeze and Adrian Neville. That is, before Balor was finally primed and ready to challenge Kevin Owens for the NXT Championship. And even though he lost in his first NXT title match against Owens on the March 25th edition of NXT, Balor would have hit much harder in their rematch at the Beast of the East event. So hard, in fact, that Balor would secure the victory over the prize fighter to become the new NXT champion. However, of course, you can't just get rid of Kevin Owens easily. Even though he still debuted on the main roster against John Cena a few months prior, Kevin Owens still felt like he should be the rightful champion on the black and gold brand. So at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, the two once again went to war in a brutal ladder match for the title, and in Kevin's final NXT match, he would suffer a defeat as Finn cemented himself as being the new top guy on NXT. But Balor wasn't content with just being the top single star in NXT. No, he wanted to be a part of the best tag team as well, just to prove that he was the best all-around performer in NXT history. So he entered the newly created Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, a tournament showcasing the best duo in NXT, with the winner getting themselves a trophy to commemorate the victory. And heading into the tournament, Balor turned attention towards perhaps the most dangerous man in NXT at the time, Samoa Joe. Joe and Balor would completely crush the competition, defeating the team of...
And two, for sure, I will be talking about Samoa Joe soon, because another famous... I love Samoa Joe. That dude, just how, like, for his character and just the way he wrestles, it's like, bro, that boy, he be standing on business every time he be in the ring, out the ring.
Baron Corbin and Rhino in the finals at NXT TakeOver Respect to win the entire tournament. However, this dominating team wouldn't last too much longer following the win, and following a successful defense against Apollo Crews on an episode of NXT, Balor would end on the receiving end of a thunderous clothesline by Samoa Joe himself. Joe turned heel for the first time in NXT, and it was all in service of one thing: becoming the NXT champion. So the match was made official as these two former allies would battle over the gold at NXT TakeOver London, and after a hard-hitting fight, Balor was finally able to retain the title against arguably his biggest rival in NXT. The feud would linger though, as following this explosive win in London, the two would head back over to the States for their rematch at TakeOver Dallas. On a show where American Alpha beat the Revival in an amazing tag team match, Asuka defeated Bayley to start her journey as NXT's next big monster, and Shinsuke Nakamura made his in-ring debut against Sami Zayn, the main event match between Balor and Joe would unfortunately fail to live up to the hype. Throughout the bout, the match would continuously be stopped by medical officials after Joe infamously received a cut that continuously needed to be treated. Eventually, though, Balor was able to counter the Coquina clutch in order to retain once again. However, despite having two clean victories over him, Joe still had one last match in him, and he would once again challenge Finn Balor to an NXT Championship bout after Balor broke the then record as NXT's longest reigning champion. And in a shocking move, Joe would actually defeat Balor at an untelevised event in Lowell, Massachusetts to become the next NXT champion. And at TakeOver The End, Balor would once again suffer a defeat at the hands of Samoa Joe in the first ever steel cage match in NXT history. His final chance at being NXT's top champion was squandered as he would suffer his first loss as the Demon character. The writing was on the wall for Balor, as his time in NXT was coming to an end, but the fans wouldn't have to worry for too long, because when one door closes, another one opens. And Balor would burst through those doors like a rocket blasting off into space, because in 2016, Finn was drafted over to Raw to finally make his debut on the main roster, and within a month, Finn was placed at the top of the card. At SummerSlam 2016, his debut pay-per-view, Balor was battling Seth Rollins to be the first ever Universal Champion. And while many fans probably expected Seth to win at this time, with Balor having to earn his stripes in WWE, that's not what happened. Instead,
Is this the SummerSlam where he got injured and he had to give up the WWE Universal title at the time? And I don't remember when I officially stopped watching wrestling, because I can tell you when I was really getting into wrestling, coming back into wrestling, when Rey Mysterio had a Royal Rumble return. I don't know what it was. It had to be in the you know how we have the 2000s and the 2010s, it had to have been around the 2020s. Yeah, the 2020s at the time, but I don't know if it was 2021 his Royal return. I don't know, but I'll search it up probably at the end of the video. But that's when I was starting to get back into wrestling. I'm like, okay, cool, because when I was watching wrestling to start, Rey Mysterio was really wrestling, and then some of these stars are really getting older now, and they ain't wrestling forever, and that's why we got these new generation superstars. You know what I'm saying? They taking over, and we still get more wrestlers and wrestlers to times to come.
Shockingly, Balor defeated Rollins to become the Universal Champion. For comparison, it took Brock Lesnar 4 months to become a world champion on the main roster. For Balor, it took 1. He was positioned as the next top star in WWE, and fans were excited to see what he'll do next. Unfortunately, though, Balor's time on top did not last long. Less than 24 hours, as a matter of fact. And this was because during the match with Seth...
Yeah, because what happened was, he had to relinquish. I couldn't say that word. I couldn't pronounce it. He had a shoulder injury, and when I saw, I think, a quick interview, I think it was like with Chris Van Lee at a SummerSlam. I think when it was in Detroit, I don't know what year it was. He broke his shoulder. I think he dislocated it, relocated it, put it out of place again, and relocated it. I'm like, yo, I know for sure that had to hurt 2 times in the same exact arm. I don't know, like, if you see the match or if you see the clips, like, that don't. And I don't know what a dislocated shoulder would look like, though. I mean, I seen it on video, but I can tell, like, what was dislocated. But I know like, his arm looked funny.
Seth, Balor suffered a shoulder tear that put him out of action for 6 months as he was stripped of the title. However, on April 3rd, 2017, Balor would finally make his way back onto television with an explosive return tag team match alongside the man who injured him in the first place, Seth Rollins. But Balor would have bigger things on his mind, of course, as he wanted to once again place himself on top of the roster. So, at Extreme Rules 2017, Finn took part in a number 1 contenders match against Samoa Joe, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and Bray Wyatt for Brock Lesnar's Universal Championship. Unfortunately for him, though, he would lose that match and not get a title shot. And things didn't look too much better following Extreme Rules, as Balor would kick off a probe with Elias leading into SummerSlam. Yes, the man who was given the world upon arrival just a year prior was now stuck in a lower mid-card feud against Elias. A feud that, bizarrely, by the way, he lost, as during a no disqualification match between himself and Elias, Balor was attacked by his next target, Bray Wyatt. Sure, it's a much better position for Balor than his rivalry with Elias, but a feud with Bray around this time still felt a little underwhelming. Bray had already started to crack as a character, with fans slowly tuning out Wyatt around this time, and this was not only proven even more following Finn's victory over Bray at SummerSlam, but Bray was just not going to let Balor go until he finally found himself on the receiving end of a victory. And despite losing to Finn at both SummerSlam and No Mercy, Bray would once again look to take on Finn at the upcoming TLC event. And the build into TLC was strange, to say the least, as Bray challenged Finn to one...
Man, I missed TLC. They looking to break this pay-per-view back somehow, because this was the pay-per-view when I was watching back in the day. Like, the Demon versus his sister Abigail. I don't remember that. No, like TLC, that was my favorite pay-per-view. I think of most of the pay-per-views that we're not seeing as of right now, TLC was like one of my personal favorites. TLC, I'm gonna do a whole different video of that too, because there's so many pay-per-views. Like, bro, it's like the certain ones in different years, like they're just like the best pay-per-views. Like, I know for sure, like my favorite WrestleMania was I remember watching when Undertaker lost the streak to Brock Lesnar, of course. But it's like I put that as my number 1, me personally, and I put WrestleMania 40 number 2, because that was the first WrestleMania I watched in years. And I have to say SummerSlam 2023. Wait, was it 2023? No, I think it was 2024, because Roman Reigns came back as a babyface, and I'm like, yo, like, and I'm mad that video, man. I got a whole bunch of videos, man. Might talk about that too, because that day I was so mad because my phone, I did not charge my phone. My phone was not on 100% the whole day, and I was partly now when I used my sister's portable charger, bro. I couldn't keep my phone charged for nothing, bro, and I was so mad. I did not charge it like the night before, and I'm like, yo, I'm so mad. And I was struggling to like find me like a power bank, in which I had one, but it wasn't fully charged. And 2, I forgot a cord to plug into the car. that I think my sister in it. But I'm like, yo, next time when I go to like any like Monday Night Raw showing or any pay per view, I'm bringing like a camera or like two phones if I like. I got a old phone, a old iPhone I ain't use. I need that for recording something, and my main phone. Like, definitely need me a camera one day.
One more match. However, Brave wasn't planning on coming alone. While Balor had his alternate demon persona to help guide him in his big matches, Bray has the spirit of Sister Abigail, and at TLC he planned on using her assistance in his fight against Finn. However, thankfully we didn't get to see that. While the idea was interesting in theory, fans were very concerned leading into the event about what this could all mean for Bray's character. But I guess not even Mother Nature wants to see Sister Abigail in a wrestling ring, as Bray Wyatt was pulled from the match at the last minute due to an illness that sort of took over the roster leading into the event. But what WWE gave us to make up for this loss of Wyatt on the card was far greater than anyone expected. He was replaced by AJ Styles. You see, while Finn created Bullet Club, Styles was hailed as the best member of that group during his time in Japan. So for many diehard wrestling fans, this was a dream match in the making, and the two delivered an amazing singles match before Balor was able to put Styles away and secure a victory over the Phenomenal One. And to pay tribute to their Bullet Club history, the two would do the signature Too Sweet hand gesture as a show of respect from two of the best wrestlers in WWE at the time. I did a whole video on AJ's run in the WWE, which you should go ahead and check out. But following this match, as well as a subsequent tag team victory at the following Survivor Series event, Finn got to thinking about his time back in Japan. Arguably the greatest time period in his career, Finn was a dominating presence as the creator of the Bullet Club. He was seemingly unstoppable, aligning himself with some dangerous men as they looked to rise to the top of New Japan. So Balor decided that he would once again create a version of Bullet Club to rule over Monday Night Raw, alongside two other former members of the Japanese group in Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. The newly formed Balor Club would look to prove their worth with brilliant displays of skill. Balor proved that time and time again, putting on excellent performances in both the 2018 Royal Rumble match and inside the Elimination Chamber the following month. And leading into WrestleMania, Balor looked to finally capture some gold following that disastrous 24-hour run as the Universal Champion. So, he took part in arguably one of the most underrated triple threat matches in wrestling history against The Miz and Seth Rollins for the Intercontinental Championship. However, once again, he would suffer...
That's to say what WrestleMania was that? This WrestleMania right here, his entrance where he brought all like LGBT like cute like community. Like how like he represent like the LGBT community, bro, in Balor Club. Like that entrance low key was like I should say like the most like I should say the deepest but most respectful like entrance in WWE history, because shoot that I mean hey, you know what I'm saying, gotta respect people in that community, man, because right now, man, shoot, they need all the support they can get, and I represent them because shoot I'm nothing but. It's like, you know how like you respect that those type of people, and but it's like you like that you cool with them, but you don't have like I like women, right? But I have respect for some people because I got friends that are like, I don't like to say the word gay, but I have people that, you know what I'm saying, are gay, but you know what I'm saying, but hey, what they do to me, because I know for sure some people don't mess with people in the LGBTQ community, so it's like, bro, what do they do to me for me to like harass them and make fun of them and da. They do nothing to me. Shoot. But no, but that was a cool entrance though. But I should say Finn Balor's entrance as the demon and him just as Finn Balor, the most like aura like entrance in professional wrestling. He has the most, I'm gonna do like an aura list of like entrances. Like he's definitely number one.
A loss after an excellent performance with Rollins securing the win. And Balor just kept continuing this trend of great performances and disappointing losses. At the greatest Royal Rumble, he lost a fatal 4-way match for the IC title. At Money in the Bank, he failed to capture the Money in the Bank briefcase. He had fallen so far down the card due to these constant losses that a feud with Baron Corbin was the only thing he could do to gain any sort of credibility. Thankfully then, Balor was able to get some big pay-per-view victories over the Lone Wolf with wins at both Extreme Rules and SummerSlam. However, despite these big victories against Corbin, Balor still failed to gain any sort of momentum. Despite having a Universal Championship match against Roman Reigns the night after SummerSlam, which he unfortunately lost, Balor would end up circling the mid-card scene for months on end. He had a couple of matches here and there, even feuding with Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler for a spell, but he just couldn't find that one thing to push him to that next level. Before we continue, Balor even made a one-off appearance in NXT UK as a surprise opponent for Jordan Devlin at TakeOver Blackpool. But this feeling, that feeling that you can only find in NXT UK, perhaps it helped to remind Balor of his roots. Not just as a former leader of the Black and Gold brand, but also as a young man who fought all over Europe in the early days of his career. Perhaps that and just a little bit of luck is all he needed. And that luck came in the form of actually an injury. In the lead up to the 2019 Royal Rumble event, Braun Strowman was scheduled to battle Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. However, Braun was pulled out of the match and a number one contenders match was held on Raw that Balor won. And thus, at the pay-per-view, Finn took on the Beast Incarnate in what was easily one of the best matches in Brock Lesnar's entire run as Universal Champion. Sure, he once again suffered a loss, but Finn had reminded everyone with this match that he was still a main event player. And with this high-profile match, Balor positioned himself back up the card and into the Intercontinental Championship scene. A year prior, he shared the ring with Seth Rollins and The Miz when they fought for the title. However, at WrestleMania 35, Balor found himself not against two men, but one almighty destroyer. Balor went toe-to-toe with Bobby Lashley, defeating him in minutes as he once again wore the demonic war paint to terrorize his opponent. During this reign, Balor would continue to put on dream matches as he defended the IC title against the likes of Sami Zayn, Andrade Cien Almas, and Mustafa Ali. But after holding the title for a couple months, Balor would finally meet his match in a battle against Shinsuke Nakamura on the Extreme Rules kickoff show. Yes, a match between Finn Balor and Shinsuke Nakamura happened on the Extreme Rules kickoff show, which is criminal in my opinion. I mean, this was a match that would easily fit on a WrestleMania card, and it just goes to show how far down Finn had fallen by this point. Despite being Intercontinental Champion, Balor was still just seen as a mid-card guy in WWE for some reason. And even though Balor would have probably loved to recapture the gold, Balor would instead face a whole new challenge in his lead up to SummerSlam. For months prior, Bray Wyatt has been slowly introducing the WWE Universe to the Firefly Funhouse, a very interesting and creative show where Bray, acting as a children's TV host, would win over the fans as an eerie presence lie just below the surface of Bray's new show. An eerie presence that was finally given a name during Bray's match with Finn at SummerSlam, The Fiend. The Fiend was the most destructive force in WWE upon arrival, with this new monster debuting in that match.
Man, that lamp is sick, man. The artist that did Bray Wyatt's Fiend persona, man, was freaking awesome.
Quickly disappearing following the match, with fans both excited about the future of The Fiend and concerned about Balor's. After a 2-month hiatus though, Balor finally made his return to the WWE as he once again walked through the doors of NXT. Yes, after a lackluster run on the main roster, Balor would return to NXT to hopefully reignite that spark that he had all the way back during his first run as NXT champion. Upon his return, he would quickly target the biggest names in NXT at the time, including the then NXT champion Adam Cole. But Cole wasn't the only
man Balor. Oh, I love Adam Cole, man.
And in a shocking move, Balor would end up turning heel on the top babyface of the brand by injuring Johnny Gargano. He explained that the
that
NXT
kick was sick.
In his absence,
if that man back then not hurt,
Black and Gold brand. Well, perhaps the toughest man in NXT at the time took that sentiment to heart as he challenged Balor for a match at NXT TakeOver War Games. That man was Matt Riddle. However, despite putting on an excellent match against Finn, the new Prince of NXT left a mark on the brand by defeating the King of Bros. Finn was easily one of the hottest things going in WWE at the time, and his
that fade. Whoa, wait. Balor. Demon. What is going on with that cut? Yo, who cut, bro? Let me do your. Let me fade that up for you. That don't look right. Yo, I mean, Jey Uso could be having that cut, but it's Jey Uso. But here's the thing: he has a mullet and it looks nice, but he has a fade with short hair. Look at. When I see cuts like this, it makes me mad. Like, whenever I get my hair cut, and then it be looking like that, it ain't faded up yet, I be like, yo, hey, if I leave the barbershop, hey, if he said I'm done, and I see that, hey, I'm gonna write somebody's... Bro, I swear to God.
WWE
I
at
can't.
the time, and his
I
star
can't.
power led him straight into the
I
NXT
can't
title
do
scene
it.
as he challenged Adam Cole on the December 18th episode of NXT. However, Balor would be unsuccessful in his pursuit for the title, as Johnny Gargano would make a shocking return to cost Balor the title. And thus, the match was finally set for TakeOver Portland. Balor versus Gargano. After an excellent back and forth bout, Balor would once again earn himself a victory by defeating Johnny. But it seemed like Finn had angered too many people in the locker room with his presence, as on the April 22nd episode of NXT, he was announced as unfit to compete that night due to a backstage attack on the Prince. Over the next few weeks, fans speculated who could have been the attacker. Was it Velveteen Dream, Cameron Grimes, perhaps even Adam Cole? But no. Instead, it was a man who will become more familiar with Balor over the next couple of years that was revealed the attacker, and that was Damian Priest. Through this attack, Balor turned back into a babyface as he looked to get his revenge on Priest. And at TakeOver in Your House, Balor indeed got his revenge by defeating Priest in yet another blowaway performance. And following another quick victory of Timothy Thatcher at TakeOver 30, Balor would once again set his sights on championship gold. Following Karrion Kross's injury at TakeOver 30, a fatal four-way Iron Man match was announced for Super Tuesday 2 to determine who would win the newly vacated championship. Adam Cole, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, and Finn Balor all shared the ring that night, with Balor shockingly getting the victory to once again be crowned NXT champion. And like his first run as champion, Balor looked to impress everyone as he held on to the gold. At TakeOver 31, Balor put on arguably Kyle O'Reilly's best NXT singles match in his defense of the title. Following some surgery on his jaw that he broke within that match, Balor would return to continue defending his title. At TakeOver Vengeance Day, the winning ways of Finn Balor would continue as he defeated the Bruiserweight Pete Dunne in a hard-hitting technical encounter. He'd even proved to be the better man against Adam Cole in his defense against him on the March 10th episode of NXT. However, the gold always belonged to one man. One man that would soon return from the depths of hell to take back what is his, and at TakeOver Stand and Deliver, Balor's reign would come to an end as the returning Karrion Kross would defeat Balor to reposition himself as NXT's top monster. And following a rematch with Kross, Balor would once again leave NXT, with Kross defeating him on his way out the door and back towards the main roster. Balor had reinvented himself in NXT, once again establishing himself as the top guy in the company. So it was no surprise that when Balor returned to SmackDown, with his focus now being on the Universal Championship. But there was one problem with that. If he wanted to get that title, he had to go through the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. Yes, this was a very different version of Roman than he was used to. Sadistic, manipulative, and arguably at his peak athletically. So when it came to actually taking on the Tribal Chief, Finn was unable to match up against this new version of Roman. Roman's skills, plus a fair bit of luck, led him to beating Balor on multiple occasions, with their feud blowing off at Extreme Rules in a match that has one of the most bizarre finishes in Finn's entire career. When gearing up for a coup de grace, the turnbuckle just exploded underneath him. When he got back on his feet, Roman quickly brought him back down to the mat and retained the title. Balor, after rising to NXT, fell victim to Roman, and as the Demon at that. But despite this loss, Balor was still looking to keep his position as the top star in the WWE. And after being drafted over to Raw, Balor looked to once again dominate the competition by competing in the King of the Ring tournament. But despite making it all the way to the finals, Balor still came up short at Crown Jewel against Xavier Woods. However, despite of this setback, Balor soon found himself embroiled in the championship scene once again, as he would kick off a feud with Damian Priest to become United States champion this time. He soon lost the title back to Priest. However, just as Priest was looking to also rise up the card, and while Balor was left off the WrestleMania 38 card, his rival in Priest would form Judgment Day alongside Edge, and soon after Rhea Ripley. Balor, however, still had unfinished
Did he say Rhea?
Priest and would start to target Judgment Day alongside AJ Styles and Liv Morgan. And this war against Judgment Day would continue through Hell in a Cell, where Styles, Balor, and Morgan suffered a major loss to the new heel group running Raw. However, through this match, Balor came to a realization that alongside Priest and Rhea, he would be unstoppable. So Balor turned his back on the fans and joined Judgment Day the very next night. But he wasn't just joining the group. No, he was replacing someone in that group. Rhea, Priest, and Balor promptly attacked Edge and kicked him out of the group, as Balor stood strong alongside this new generation of talent. Over the coming months, Edge would feud with Judgment Day, but with the numbers game proving too much for the Rated R superstar, Edge would call upon his good friend Rey Mysterio, as well as Rey's son Dominic, to join him in destroying the faction that he helped create. And this new trio of Rey, Dominic, and Edge actually proved to be rather successful against Judgment Day. Judgment Day would lose to this new force at both SummerSlam and Clash at the Castle. However, over Over the prior few months leading into Clash of the Castle, Judgment Day had been slowly getting into the head of Dominic Mysterio. They made him question everything he knew about Edge, his father, and even himself. Following the tag team match at Clash of the Castle, Dominic shocked the world by turning his back on Edge and Rey to join Judgment Day. Judgment Day was now at full power, with Dominic proving to be the missing piece for the group. But the rivalry with Edge was far from over for Finn. They continued to battle in these absolutely brutal affairs over the next couple of months. At Extreme Rules, Balor would defeat Edge in an I Quit match by attacking Edge's wife, Beth Phoenix, until he gave the victory to Balor, and then Edge would disappear for a little bit following this, tending to his wounds as well as Beth's well-being. In the meantime, though, Balor would have his hands full with AJ Styles. Yes, the two men had become somewhat spiritually linked by this point due to their past Bullet Club affiliations, and now Finn wanted AJ to join him in this new group. However, unlike Dominic Mysterio, AJ refused to join. Instead, he opted to side with the returning Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson as he reformed the OC. But despite the OC returning only a few weeks prior, they would unfortunately lose to Judgment Day in a trios match at Crown Jewel. AJ refused to stay down though, choosing to continue his battle with Finn Balor heading into Survivor Series, where the two would once again put on an exciting match. This time though, it was AJ Styles who earned the victory. The feud between the OC and the Judgment Day would ultimately conclude on the following episode of Raw, as Judgment Day defeated the OC in an 8-person mixed tag team match. But as soon as Balor gets rid of one problem, another one arises, because during the Royal Rumble match in 2023, Edge would make his return and eliminate Balor from the match. The feud between Edge and Balor was still going on, and the intensity between both men had completely boiled over. Balor made it personal by involving Edge's wife into the feud, and now he would have to pay, as the power couple of Edge and Beth defeated Balor and Ripley at Elimination Chamber. But with WrestleMania 39 just around the corner, fans knew that this feud between Balor and Edge would have to conclude in a violent way. So, at WrestleMania Goes Hollywood, the two men would wage war within the confines of a Hell in a Cell structure, but while Balor lost this match against Edge, you have to assume that Balor will once again find his footing alongside the Judgment Day. I also completely don't agree with that loss, and think that he definitely should have won that match. When looking back on Balor's career in WWE, it's really hard to tell if it was a success. Sure, Balor was an all-time great NXT champion. Sure, he was the first ever WWE Universal Champion. However, Balor always struggled on the main roster for some reason. Because yes, down in NXT, Balor was unstoppable as the top guy for the brand. On Raw and SmackDown, he was always the victim of both bad booking and bad luck, honestly. He was strapped to a rocket upon arrival, but after his shoulder injury at SummerSlam 2016, it almost feels like the higher-ups gave up on him, and he was never really able to capture that magic again. But now that he has joined Judgment Day, it feels like that spark is starting to come back a little bit with Balor. Alongside Ripley, Priest, and Dominic, Balor has had a fire lit underneath him. Is he going to win the world title again one day? I would love to think so, but if not, it's still amazing to see him as a veteran of the business as he continues to help out the next generation of WWE superstars. Balor has always been one of my favorite wrestlers, and that demon gimmick is so crazy to me, and I really hope that the WWE utilizes him in a more meaningful way soon, because he is a once-in-a-generation talent, and while he's fumbled on the main roster, fans still have this natural gravitation towards him. Balor is one of the best members of the WWE roster currently, in my opinion, and it still feels like there's a lot to look forward to for the Prince. Thank you for watching and subscribing.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, shout out to this man's video. But yeah, Finn Balor, man, I love his demon persona, man. But I think when I plan my videos, I gotta talk about the best to least theme songs when it comes to just the wrestlers, and like I'm gonna like do like aura level. Like, man, Finn Balor is like when he's the demon with his theme song. It's lit, bro. Like that. I don't know, man. Whoever made that, bro, you gotta be a billionaire, bro, for that. But anywho, man, it's your boy Who Is London, man. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications for the next video. I'm out.